Okay, and welcome to the Lucidess podcast. My name is Shelley Sawyer Jensen, and I created Lucidess a little over 2 years ago in response to a call from my soul to share my voice with the world, what I was learning in my journey. And when I began to dive deeper into that and ask myself why, I came up with this phrase: I believe in the infinite, unbounded potential within each of us. And I would say that has been the bane of my existence for 2.5 years now, because in order to be that expression in life feels damn near impossible for me. So, but that is the calling I feel called to share in the world, and that is why I'm here. And I explore everything in Lucidess because if you know anything about the world, everything's connected. And so you can't touch one thing without touching another. And also because I don't have a I'm I am able to monofocus on one thing for a very long time, and then I want to focus on something else for a very long time. So I want to delve into all areas of life and of the world. So that's how Lucidess came about. What I want to share today is the story behind a story. We're talking 2020, and I had just chosen to end a relationship with someone that I held so near and dear to my heart, and wondered if maybe this would be my second marriage. So it was to that extent where the possibilities were there. I look back now and realize never, it was never going to happen. But the love was there. The love was there. So a lot of heartbreak when it ended. And I've spoken about it before. So it's 2020. Living in Telluride, Colorado. There's no better place. I just love Telluride. Can't say enough about it. Interesting. I have my Mangala Yoga Telluride shirt on today. I didn't plan that. That just kind of fell into place. So if you have a chance to go to Telluride, you can drop into Mangala. I taught there for a little while. Anyway, so it's 2020. I'm in Telluride, Colorado, staying with my dear friend. Just adore her. She's fabulous. And I wake up one night just with a heartache, an indescribable heartache. And it wasn't, when I used the words, I didn't say heartbreak, right? I said heartache. And I just realized that in the moment, because my heart wasn't breaking. It was just a deep ache, but there was something both tragic and beautiful about it. It wasn't even tragic. It was just heartache. And as I was laying in bed, of course, something said, grab your laptop, pull it on over, let's get to work. It's like 3 a.m. I don't know. Well, whatever. I listen. I pull my laptop over, and I start typing out this very simple, short story. And you'll see when I read the story to you, there are not very many words. Maybe there are 100 words in the book. I don't even know. It's a very short book. And I'm going to put that it's a children's book because most of the story is told through illustration. So that's considered a children's book. And if someone said, well, what age range is for it? I'd say, well, if you're alive, then you probably fall within the age range of what this book is for, because it is about life. It's the most ancient story. It's been told a million times, but it's never been told this way. So I'm going to share a story with you that is as old as life, because it is life and death and renewal, regeneration, rebirth, right? There's no older story than that, but never told in quite this way. And so much of the story is through the illustration. Here's the irony. I cannot draw to the point where when I think my kids, we do the sidewalk chalk, or just, did a lot of art. I love to be creative, but drawing is definitely not my forte. And I think my daughter was around 4. Like, I don't think she was even in grade school yet, where my younger son said, Mom, will you draw us an elephant? Or he had asked me to draw me something. And Hannah, my daughter, kind of went, no, it's okay, Mom, I'll draw it. Meaning my daughter realized at like 4 or 5 that her artistic abilities were already greater than mine. So I've had this story for 4 years now. It's 2024. And it is deep. There's a divine feminine, there's a divine masculine, there's life, there's death, there's renewal, there's rebirth, it's all in there. It's all in there. And so as this story is coming to me in the middle of the night and I type it out, I realize the image, as I'm writing these very simple words, the images are just flooding and I can just see these incredible images in my head. But of course, I know that what's up here doesn't come out of these hands when it comes to art, to art illustration. But something in me just said, it doesn't matter. Sit down. I got up the next day and I think it took me 4 or 5 days. I remember walking down to the little market in Telluride and buying some colored pencils and paper, walking back. And it took me a few, good chunks of day, but all I did, I mean, literally just was trying to draw, trying to get this story on paper. I wish I still had those. I remember at some point in this process, I was moving and I was frustrated with the whole thing. Like, why did I wake up in the middle of the night with this dumb story and spend all this time drawing these pretty mediocre pictures as well? And so I threw them away. That's me. That's how I am. I'm very quick to throw things away. I'm really great when you need to organize stuff. I will help you organize and get stuff out. But if you want to keep track, if you want to keep something, I'm probably not the person to give it to. Okay, so those pictures, I wish I still had them. I illustrated it in its entirety that first time. And the reason I bring this up is because I have asked multiple people to illustrate the story and they read it and they're like, yes. And then they start and they just fall in to like a pit of their own making, and they can't finish. And some of them get 4 pages, some get 1 page in, and then they're like, I can't do this. A couple of them have gotten, one of them specifically got over halfway, and then she was like, I can't finish. Like, I literally just, it's too much. It's too much. It's brought too much for me. So what I'm saying is this story is ancient, it's old, and it is 100% true in 100% of people's lives. There's no one on this planet who will not experience life, death, and rebirth in some, meaning the seasons, we could just look outside the window. We experience it outside. We can watch that happen. A pet, maybe a person in your life. It may be a job that you loved, an occupation that you loved, but this cycle is 100% true for 100% of the people on this planet. And it is singularly, possibly the most difficult one, right? To live and die and regenerate, to live and die and regenerate, to do that cycle over and over and over. We do it with every breath. We do it with every day. We do it with every season. We do it. You will die. You will die. I don't know if you'll regenerate, but when someone else dies in your life, you are called to regenerate yourself as a new being without that person's physicalness in the realm. Okay, so what I'm saying is this is a very difficult book to, and I didn't know this when I wrote it and when I first illustrated it because it just came so quickly. But on my attempts over the last 4 years to re-illustrate it, I haven't been able to finish it. I have not been able to find someone who wanted to finish it. No one else has been able to finish it. So I have done it again. In my stuckness over the last few weeks, I dredged it up. I would say it dredged me up. Here it is again. And it's like, hey, illustrate me. I'm like, not only am I not an illustrator, I'm a horrible illustrator. I don't want to, no. But anyway, so I've been working on it over the last couple of weeks. I've got 3 more illustrations to do, and then I'm going to share it with you. And what I want to share, why I'm even introducing this story. One is whether you normally watch or listen, you will want to watch this one because you can't see my illustrations otherwise. And so much of the story is illustrated. And what I want to share about this story is I didn't know. I just felt like I needed to introduce it. So I'm sitting here right now, literally waiting for the words. Why am I even introducing a children's story that I illustrated? I guess the first one is I'm hoping the first very selfish reason is I'm hoping someone sees it and says, I not only want to illustrate this book for you, I can. I can. I know this cycle. I've lived it. I know how. Because in order to hold the story and to illustrate these pictures, in order to illustrate these pictures, you will need to be able to hold the story within you to bring it to life in the way that it needs to be brought to life. And that's not up to me. Like I said, these other people just had to bow out because they're like, I literally can't draw anymore. So this isn't me putting any parameters on it. I'm just saying, based on the experience I've had with this story, it's bigger and deeper than most people realize and are able to touch within themselves, me included. Even though it came to me and through me quite easily in the beginning, it's been very difficult. And as I said, I still have 3 more illustrations to do before it's done. But the fact that I'm actually making this video is hopeful for me. It means, okay, I think you're actually going to finish it this time and you're going to share it. And I think what I'm saying is for me. So for me to realize that this is the story of my life, this has been the story of my life, is learning how to die over and over and over. Learning what does it mean to regenerate, to renew, to rebirth, and to live again, and to live again. And there have been so many deaths. The very first podcast I did is about Shelley Sawyer Jensen. Like, who am I? Who is Shelley? And I talk about death at, I don't remember how old I was, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. And understanding that death comes in the little forms by the ways we treat each other. We can kill each other very slowly through cruelty. Death comes in big ways. A divorce. My divorce was an enormous death for me. Rape. Rape was another death for me. Some failures. There was a time where I wasn't really able to be a mother to my children. They were both living with their father. I fell apart in my own life, and that was a death. So this eternal story is not just about other people dying, not just about pets dying or jobs dying or nature going through its cycles, but about being able to die inside, being able to die so that you can live. And I would say that's what these last few weeks have been for me. And they've been very, very hard. And I've shared, they have been very, very hard. And the fact that I've been sitting here illustrating for hours after hours after hours. I mean, when you see the pictures, you'll be like, nice try. I mean, so many hours, dozens and dozens and dozens of hours have gone in for me to produce a very shabby, mediocre. I mean, I'm not discrediting myself. I mean, I'm super proud of myself that I sat down and did it. But what it takes to die, and not just die, what it takes to die, and then to go through the regeneration and rebirth, and to come back alive as someone new. And I think a lot of people think that's like new. A lot of times the new one I've learned that comes about, I don't necessarily like or appreciate in the beginning, because I may have qualities, this new me may have qualities that I have been trying really hard not to have, right? Like, I know sometimes in a rebirth process, I come through and I have this really strong quality, and I go, I don't like that about me. I don't really want that. But it's insistent on being a part of the process. And looking back, I realized I needed, that new me needed to be that way for me to have the experience and do the things and find myself where I am today. So this whole regenerative rebirth process, the new me is new, but it doesn't mean she's like, he or she is shiny, perfect new, right? You're not like the newly polished diamond. You're just new. And part of that is then readjusting and going, whoa, who am I? I don't normally, I would say recently in this last rebirth process, what I'm starting to see is I'm fairly unapologetic. And I care less about people than I used to. And that kind of sounds probably more harsh than it is because I haven't tempered this new me. But yeah, I'm a little more, I think I said it. I'm not going to say more because I'm still trying to figure it out. But I have tried so hard my whole life to be kind and nice and amenable, likable, right? And there's a new quality to me. I realize she don't give a fuck. And I don't really like that. I'm like, hey, like if you like, oh, if you make those waves, if you do, they're not gonna like you. And I'm not talking about friends or like some other community. I'm talking my children. I'm talking my siblings. I'm talking the core people in my life not liking or appreciating the way I'm behaving. So this isn't like, oh, don't worry about that. No, this is like core. Like this is my family unit. So death, rebirth, renewal, regeneration, new, shiny. Now it's scary. Scary, it's hard, it's unpredictable. And it is absolutely 100% a given. Life, death, it's happening. If death happened, and after death, there's always some regenerative force that creates life again. So if you're still here after something has died, you will regenerate, rebirth in some form. Maybe not fully, maybe not wholly. You may be the butterfly that comes out with one wing open and one wing closed because you didn't allow the thing to happen the way it needed to happen, right? Like you have a say to the fullness of it, but it's going to happen. Death absolutely mandates life, right? Death is going to regenerate and give birth to life. And how you choose to participate in that is up to you. The fact that I'm the one telling this story, I guarantee you I'm probably the worst at it, right? Like I fight it, I hate it, I just enough already. But I do see there are parts of the process I am able to surrender into more. I would say the hardest part for me now is the transition. Rebirth is a transition. Like the old one has died. I'm pretty good at dying. And then this transitory period where I don't know what I'm becoming, but I start to see, usually I'm becoming something I didn't want to be, right? The parts of me I've like tried to shove down. And as I see those surface, I'm like, no, we're not gonna, no, we're not. I don't want that. So that's really where I resist, is allowing the new me to come out with both wings fully formed and open and fly. Because I have so many, again, I spoke about this in my last podcast. I have so many judgments about what it means to be a good person. And I'm sure that's why I chose that latest Shakespeare quote. and I probably won't get it quite right, but nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I have spent my whole life being told and telling myself what was good and bad. And life, death, and rebirth, it got nothing on good and bad, right? There's no tree out there that's good or bad. You know, there's no lion out there that's good or bad. Doesn't matter how many animals it's going to kill in its lifetime, right? It is the form it is, and it's going to do what it does. So, anyway, that is a little bit of introduction to the gardener of Petrichor. Petrichor. Not many people know the word. It's this beautiful word. It means the smell of rain on dusty soil. So the gardener of Petrichor. That's the name of the book. And as soon as I finish those last 3 illustrations, I'd like to say I'll get them done today, but I understand well enough to know that each of those illustrations requires a pretty deep change inside of me. And then once those are done, I will sit here and have them set up so that you can see them clearly, and I'll read the story and I'll share it with the world. Something that I knew when the story came through. I knew the second the story came through, I knew I needed to get it out into the world immediately. And I've tried. It hasn't ever happened. And so here I am 4 years later. I'm going to try again. And it's getting out in a way I never saw, right? Like for me, I wanted it to have this beautiful illustration, have these great books, say, look at this great book. And no, you're just going to look at some hand-drawn, crazy illustrations by someone with very little illustrative talent. But the story's there. And I'm going to trust that you know this story. I mean, everybody does. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. And you'll pick up a lot more even than I could convey. So there it is. That's what we're working toward, is me reading The Gardener of Petrichor, sharing it with the world and letting it live for whoever needs to find it. So there it is. Thank you very much. And we'll continue our journey together. I love you all. Bye-bye.